The combination ball clasp C-clasp is generally used on primary dentition, the second molar in this case, where retention is absolutely necessary, yet the shape of the tooth does not lend itself toward a single clasp being well retentive. The ball clasp goes interproximal between the second deciduous molar and the first deciduous molar, engages into the embrasure between the two teeth on the buccal side with the ball end. It travels over the occlusal surface in the same manner as any other clasp. The second portion of the clasp is a C-clasp, which in this case has the free end on the mesial, just about a millimeter of space between it and the ball of the ball clasp. The wire travels along the gingival margin, goes up through the embrasure, between the 6-year molar and the distal of the second primary molar over the occlusal surface, and exits into the acrylic as a crossover wire. The adjustments for this clasp are exactly the same as described for the ball clasp and for the C-clasp. Just like the other clasps, the easiest method of adjusting is using your finger, again holding the appliance in place on the acrylic side and using your finger to press downward to engage interproximally. The second adjustment is to adjust the actual ball part of the clasp, to move it either mesially or distally as is needed to engage an undercut. In this case, we're going to engage it under the distal undercut of the primary second molar. As with the Adams clasp, there are still 3 points of adjustment. 1, where the wire exits the acrylic. 2, where the clasp starts its downward bend toward the gingival. And 3, at the free end of the clasp, where it engages the distal, in this case the distal buccal undercut. Where the clasp exits the acrylic, right here, simply adjust by pressing downward, so grasping it between your thumb and forefinger, grab the wires with your other hand and press downward. An alternative method is to use the 139 Bird-beak pliers to hold the appliance steady. Think of the pliers as a portable vise to hold the wire while most of your adjustment is done with your fingers. Just hold and roll your wrist and press down with your thumb. The second area of adjustment is where the clasp starts its downward curve toward the gingiva. Using the pliers as a vise, finger on the appliance as a rest, bend it down and inward toward the tooth. The third adjustment is where the free end of the clasp engages either the mesial or distal buccal undercut of the tooth, inward towards the mesial buccal undercut. In this case, use the 139 Bird-beak pliers to rotate downward and inward. Now here's what not to do. While most adjustments could be done with the 139, there are occasions where a 3-pronged might be used, but extreme care must be taken so as not to nick the wire. Once the wire is nicked, the strength is severely reduced, leading to a possible fracture. When the C-clasp is lost, or when the primary second molar gets lost, you can continue to use the appliance by adjusting the ball clasp to engage the distal undercut of the primary first molar, making it again a very versatile clasp.